Curell Case Files presents serial killers, from reality to the big screen. Welcome to Curell Case Files, where truth meets the eerie shadows of reality. Have you ever wondered why stories about serial killers grip the imagination of millions? What is it about these horrifying yet strangely compelling figures that we can't seem to look away from? From chilling true crime documentaries to edge-of-your-seat thrillers, serial killers have moved from the dark corners of history to the bright lights of the big screen. In this episode, we're diving deep into that journey. We'll uncover how these real-life monsters became pop culture icons, why audiences are so fascinated, and what filmmakers must consider. This exploration isn't just about fear, it's about understanding the mirror these stories hold up to our society, and maybe to ourselves. So sit back and join us as we explore the haunting transition of serial killers from reality to real life. Historical context of serial killers. Before cinema ever shined a spotlight on them, serial killers were already figures of infamy. Defined as individuals who commit 3 or more murders over time with cooling-off periods in between, serial killers often kill for psychological gratification. Names like Jack the Ripper, H.H. Holmes, and Ted Bundy have echoed through history, not only for their horrific acts, but also for the shockwaves they sent through society. These individuals changed how we view safety, mental health, and criminal behavior. The public's response is often conflicted, equal parts repulsed and intrigued. This reaction laid the groundwork for their emergence in popular media. As Curell Case Files often asks, when does public awareness turn into public obsession? Understanding their real-life origins helps us better evaluate how they are portrayed on screen. The evolution of serial killer films. In the early days of film, serial killers were shrouded in mystery. Movies like Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho introduced psychologically layered villains that made audiences uncomfortable yet captivated. The 70s and 80s ushered in brutal horror with films like The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween, turning killers into larger-than-life horror icons. By the 90s, psychological thrillers like The Silence of the Lambs focused on the intellectual and emotional complexity of these characters. Today's portrayals range from gritty docudramas to character studies, often based on true stories. What hasn't changed is our fascination. At Curell Case Files, we believe that every shift in portrayal reveals something deeper about our fears, our justice system, and our willingness to confront darkness. Why serial killers fascinate audiences. Fear is natural, but curiosity about fear, that's something else. Psychologists suggest our interest in serial killers comes from a blend of wanting to understand extreme behavior and the thrill of confronting danger from a safe distance. These stories let us explore the darkest corners of the human mind, without risk. Media coverage and dramatization amplify this by packaging horror as entertainment. On Curell Case Files, we examine how that packaging can distort or enlighten, depending on the storyteller. The fascination is undeniable, but it's also a reflection of deeper questions. What drives evil? Could it happen again? Could it happen near me? Case studies, real versus real. Let's examine how films interpret true crime cases. David Fincher's Zodiac is a chilling portrayal of the real-life Zodiac killer who haunted California in the 1960s. The film doesn't sensationalize the violence. Instead, it focuses on obsession, frustration, and the unknown. Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, starring Zac Efron as Ted Bundy, challenges viewers by showing Bundy's charm and how it masked unspeakable cruelty. Then there's Monster, where Charlize Theron becomes Aileen Wuornos, revealing a life shaped by trauma, abuse, and desperation. At Curell Case Files, we look at how these dramatizations walk a tightrope between fact and fiction. Do they do justice to the victims, or do they serve entertainment first? Ethics in portraying serial killers. Turning true horror into cinema isn't just storytelling, it's responsibility. Families of victims watch these portrayals with real emotional stakes. At what point does education become exploitation? Ethical filmmaking considers not just accuracy, but also empathy. On Curell Case Files, we're committed to holding media accountable for how it treats real people and real suffering. Glorifying the killer, intentionally or not, risks inspiring copycats or trivializing tragedy. Instead, we must ask, can horror stories be respectful? Can truth be told without trauma? the serial killer archetype in fictional characters. Not all killers on screen are based on real people, yet characters like Hannibal Lecter and Dexter Morgan have become cultural icons. They represent intelligence, moral ambiguity, and the thin line between justice and madness. Hannibal terrifies us because he is as refined as he is ruthless. Dexter forces us to confront our own ideas about right and wrong. On Curell Case Files, we dissect these characters not just as entertainment, but as reflections of our collective fears and fascinations. Why do we root for them? What do they say about the lines we're willing to blur? Impact on society and culture. Serial killer stories influence more than entertainment. They shape public fears, inspire law enforcement, and create unrealistic expectations about criminal investigations. Shows like CSI glamorize forensic science, leading people to expect quick results and absolute certainty. Meanwhile, real cases are messy, emotional, and unresolved. The impact is everywhere, from Halloween costumes to memes, from fashion to fan fiction. Curell Case Files urges caution. When the line between awareness and obsession fades, we risk becoming numb to the real horror behind the headlines. True crime media boom and audience engagement. The explosion of true crime in the digital age has been massive. Podcasts, streaming series, YouTube channels, audiences are not just watching, they're investigating. Making a Murderer, Serial, and countless others invite viewers to be part of the process. But with this power comes responsibility. Are we uncovering truth or feeding a spectacle? Curell Case Files exists to encourage thoughtful consumption of these stories. We believe engagement should go beyond binge-watching. It should inspire reflection, critical thinking, and empathy for real people involved. Future of serial killer media. As technology advances, the way we tell these stories will evolve. Virtual reality may let us explore crime scenes. AI could generate detailed psychological profiles. But the biggest change may be in who tells the stories. Diverse voices, women, people of color, international creators, are expanding the narrative. Curell Case Files embraces this evolution, advocating for inclusive, ethical, and meaningful storytelling that respects all perspectives. The future may still be dark, but it doesn't have to be blind. Conclusion: serial killers will likely always have a place in our stories, but how we tell those stories and why matters. We've seen how film can both reflect and shape our understanding of evil. From real-life horror to fictional archetypes, from ethical dilemmas to cultural influence, these tales challenge us to confront what lies beneath the surface of our society and ourselves. Curell Case Files is here to explore that shadow, not to glorify it, but to understand it. If this deep dive made you think, share your thoughts in the comments. What films or stories struck you the most? Why do you think we're so drawn to these dark tales? Subscribe to Curell Case Files for more investigations into crime, culture, and everything that hides in the shadows. Your voice is part of this story, and your curiosity drives it forward. Additional resources for those wanting to explore further. 1. The Psychopath Test by John Ronson. 2. Mindhunter, Inside the FBI's Elite Serial Crime Unit by John E. Douglas. 3. Real Crime Stories, The Zodiac Killer, crimemuseum.org. 4. Ted Bundy Timeline, allthat'sinteresting.com. 5. Crime Culture, Serial Killers in Film and Fiction, Oxford Academic. Until next time, this is Curell Case Files, where truth meets the eerie shadows of reality.